let's come on to the next team in the tournament. And this is a team that may count themselves a little bit unlucky, but, pool play is one thing. And when you get to the final dance, you've got to lace up the dancing shoes and bust out the moves. And they didn't in that DLS-affected final against Chennai last year. We're, of course, talking about Gujarat Titans. Raj, you've done the hard work and preparation on them. So, what have you got your eye on with the Titans?
Yeah, they need to bust out the umbrella for last year in the Duckworth-Lewis affected final. So the massive headline there around squad changes is Hardik Pandya from the last couple of seasons. It's a massive loss, not just his performances that he brings to the team, but he's one of those players that makes those around him better, lifts them up when you see him strapping on his boots in the changing room. However, that gives Shubman Gill a chance to, lead this team and show what he's got. He is down as a future leader for the Indian cricket team, and he's in great form with the bat. Batted really well last year. I think almost 900 runs last year in the IPL.
Gone off and got himself some sun, took a few more photos for his Instagram. A few more six-pack photos.
The socials, yeah. From what they brought in perspective, they brought in Shah Rukh Khan, the finisher, not the actor, Umesh Yadav, and I'm also excited to see the impact of Spencer Johnson as well. It's come in at big money too. So it'll be interesting to see how they use him. From a success perspective, I think batting is a massive factor for this team. For Gujarat, for their success again this year, Gill, Kane Williamson, David Miller. I'm going to chuck Matthew Wade in there as well. I'm hoping that he gets a go. We saw in the World Cup, I know it was a one-day World Cup, but I thought he was one of the picks of the batters, and he had a lot of Australia's success was because of how he closed out a few of those innings in the World Cup. I also think that they're also one of the more balanced sides in this competition, in that they have people who can chip in all the way down the batting order, all the way down in the batting department. They don't have a massive reliance on one or two players. I think that there are players there that can chip in and get them the victory that they need.
Can we detour, you're talking about batting, what role do you think Kane's going to play? I think this is a really fascinating question for Gujarat, because obviously he was in the side when he injured himself last year, got the knee injury. And then, but, when I look through that side now, I think that finding a spot for him is actually quite interesting in terms of how they want to, build their side.
Well,
so just before you unpack that, so I think that the massive issue that they've got is Mohammad Shami, which I was going to go on to as well. So you know what kind of impact he's had over the last 12 months. He has had surgery on his Achilles, I believe. Yeah, he's not going to play a part in this IPL, and that has forced the inclusion of an overseas bowler. I think that's going to
maybe
be
Johnson
or Little. I don't know either of those, but that's going to put Kane Williamson's spot at a little bit of risk.
Well, absolutely, particularly if you have to pick David Miller, right? You have to pick David Miller. You have to pick Rashid still. I think that's probably fair.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, and then
it's between Wade and Williamson.
Then if you then pick Spencer Johnson, so that's three, and then you either have to choose between picking Josh Little or Wade or Kane Williamson.
Don't sleep on Omarzai either from Afghanistan.
That's the other guy.
He was awesome in the ODI World Cup. He's just been scoring runs for fun for Afghanistan as well. He's just scored 100. So don't sleep on him. And I mean, who knows? But they're going to have some tough decisions, as you say.
Real tough decisions. Lots of depth in that overseas. Lots of different looks that they can throw at teams, but they've got some really hard decisions to make.
Where do you have Saha in your lineup there?
Look, I had him in the team. Mostly because I think that I had to fill out the remaining local spots, having filled the first 4 spots with those 4 overseas guys. I had Wade in there as the finisher at 6, but you could equally sub him out for a Little. I didn't realise that Shami was injured. So, I would have another bowler come in, an overseas bowler come in, and then you'd have to pick another local player.
I think that Saha is going to be on a very short rope. I think they're going to open with him, possibly.
Yeah, that's where I had him.
Him and Shubman Gill. If he's not scoring runs early on, I see a very, very quick change, and Wade becomes a must-have with the gloves. I think he's a must-have as a finisher. I don't know. They've got the likes of Shah Rukh Khan there to do that job as well.
Well, I think adding him, again, might give them the option to leave out Wade. They do, as you say, they've got a lot of different options, but I think they're going to have to be quite a short rope in terms of, you're not doing the job, we're going to have to kind of change the balance of our side now.
Is that the strength though here? We've just named about 77 different permutations that they can go with. I think Saha started, I think, the tournament pretty well last time round at the top of the order, and kind of tailed off a little bit. Tawatia as well, I think, has offered a bit of depth. Could him and Miller do that kind of finishing role, and then you don't need Wade, and then you've got your local wicket keeper, and I think that's a little bit of a trend. If you can get a local keeper into your side and not have to go with a Phil Salt or a Matthew Wade or a Josh Butler, you've got more options for your other overseas spots as well.
Shah Rukh Khan, with what they're paying him, I think that they are going to expect him to fill out that finisher spot at the start with, and they'll see what happens. But from where I think they're going to struggle, it is their bowling that we just talked about, the losses of Pandya and Shami. Rashid Khan, you mentioned as well. He is, I believe, coming back from an injury as well. I did read that, but I don't know how long ago that injury was. So he may start slow as well, which leaves Umesh Yadav, so who they picked up in the off season. Look, great bowler. He's leading he'll end up leading this attack, but he does have a tendency to be a little bit hot and cold.
That's a challenge, really, isn't it? When you've got Umesh Yadav leading your attack. I mean, Spencer Johnson could come out and take 30 wickets. We don't know, but we've just started naming guys we haven't really seen before. We don't know what we're going to get. My concern with Gujarat is how long have they got to work this out? Because if they start 1 and 3, they could be well behind the 8 ball before they figure it out. And, you can go on a run in the IPL. If you win 3 or 4 straight, you can, go from 0 to hero. But that would be the question, is how long is it going to take this Gujarat team without Hardik Pandya holding them together to work out what their best combo is that's going to work for them?
Yeah, and Josh Little and Spencer Johnson especially are those bowlers that can have that impact for you. But I don't think they're the bowlers that you end up building your foundation of 20 overs on.
And do you see Little as the depth chart for Johnson with the left arm angle, or do you ever see a situation where both of them play?
I don't think it will fit both of them. I think they have to pick one or the other because of the the Millers they have to have in their side. I think you're picking one or the other. Rashid Khan and David Miller are playing every game unless they're injured, I think.
A bit of a point maybe for a longer podcast, but Pandya, going to Mumbai, culturally and from a leadership perspective and from a franchise ability, if that's even a word, how big an impact and effect do you think that's going to have? We mentioned it would be big, but do you want to expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, look, that is an unknown, right? It's an unknown, and it's an unknown at Mumbai. I'm sure when we get to Mumbai, we'll talk about that being an unknown as well. But they have the foundations of a good leadership group with Gill, with Kane Williamson. They've got the older players, Matthew Wade, David Miller, to lean on. They do have a core leadership group who have played a lot of
Rashid Khan. Yeah, they've got really experienced players.
Who've played a lot of international cricket. But I also think Hardik Pandya is one of those players that you can't just replace. Or if you do, you need 3 or 4 players to replace him.
Anything else?
Yeah, just on the X factor side of things. I don't think that they need the likes of Mohammad Shami in the India, how he played for India in the One Day World Cup, taking 5 wickets. It felt like every game. I don't think
they couldn't use that.
No, I don't. Well, they could use that, but I don't think they need that. I think they've got enough good players all the way down their lineup that can chip in. They don't have that over reliance on that 1 or 2 players. Spencer Johnson, I'm really excited to see how they use him, because even Mark Wood sometimes has gone in there and just taken a bag of wickets for 15, 20 runs.
Yeah.
I see Spencer Johnson being able to do that as well, and it will really set them up for a number of wins if he can play well.
Yeah, and he had a really, really good BBL, didn't he? A different standard of cricket, but there was times where he was bowling almost maidens in T20, which was unreal.
They have a blueprint of how they're going to win, and as you mentioned, they've got heaps of different options that they could choose, horses for courses, but the blueprint is there. And I guess I'm not comfortable after the last 2 years of dominance that they've had, counting the Gujarat Titans out. So I think that they're going to have to prove, or they're going to have to show me that they suck before I say that they suck.
Yeah. So the bookmakers have them third in the pegging, so they're at 13-2 on Bet365. But Raj, where do you have them finishing?
Raj has them in the top 4 in 4th place. But I think because I love RCB so much, I've put them ahead of them. So,
Ooh, wow.
I do think they make the playoffs, though.
there are a few hearts over heads picks I think that we'll see throughout the course
We'll
of
definitely see a few of those.
tonight's podcast, and I can guess where Lip is coming from. That does end our little preview for the Gujarat Titans.